Good evening, ladies and lentilmen, because we're covered in lint. Today we're back again for some more patch. No, yes, there's a patch on the PC version of the game that we're going to end up going through together. There's a lot of this patch that I haven't really tackled yet, and normally I would have had this video out yesterday, but essentially there was the event, and that's kind of what I prioritized. I'm recording this right now, and I'm very, very sleep deprived. Like at the moment I'm recording this, because I basically have to. It's a whole thing. I'm trying to stay up to change my schedule around for my trip, but I'll have another video that'll talk about that. Let's get into it. So, Release the Kraken. Entering the Longshade Adventure World now gives a new quest line featuring Saltwater Sam and his crew. This is the quest that I was fishing to prepare for. I won't be able to grind this on live stream until next week because I'm going to be gone for a week. But moving on, as players move through this quest line, they will get access to Depth Stepper Deep Kraken. It's a new Depth Stepper portal that you'll soon realize nobody can actually craft. Nobody should. It allows you to seek out and defeat the Deep Kraken itself, found within the watery depths of the Delve biome. You might have checked out the patch notes trailer or whatever. I'll try to remember to put a link in the description to the Trove trailer, or I'll just insert some footage. The boss looks really, really cool, albeit the fact that it's buried in the worst delve in the entire game that nobody likes means it's kind of just a waste of resources for them to develop it. So anyways, regardless of quest completion, Trovians who have unlocked the Deep Kraken's memento can craft the Deep Kraken Depth Stepper at the Depth Workbench. You can also buy it for 200 credits. No thank you. The Herald of the Deep Kraken that will spawn in the Depths Delves biome after any boss with a Runic Depths Vault spawns. Utilizing Kraken Shell Fragments, another resource to grind. Oh boy, their ideas are uncanny. Anyways, you can craft 8 new collectible items, 5 pets, 1 mount, 1 mag rider, and 1 set of wings. There's also a new buff available for Trovians with 200 plus skill in mysticism. While the Deep Kraken is a great source of Kraken Shell Fragments, they can also be found in Runic Depth Vaults and from enemies encountered during the Kraken questline. Not sure what that means, but okay, cool. So anyway, new water fish. Dust off your tackle box. I wish I didn't have to. There's 16 new depth-themed fish that can be found in fishing pools in water within the Longshade difficulty. 6 common, 6 uncommon, and 4 rare. The rarest of these fish can only be obtained using the Pole of the Deep. Once all uncommon depth fish have been collected, you can solicit help crafting this pole from Murkwater Mark on Sam's ship, found randomly throughout the Longshade. You can only obtain the rarest fish with the Pole of the Deep, but you still got to get all 6 of the uncommon depth fish first. That doesn't make sense to my brain. Suffice to say, it seems like you gotta do even more fishing in order to get this new fishing pole or something. Who cares? Moving on, there's a new 5-star dungeon. 5-star depth dungeon, they call it. And it looks like this. I'll just insert some footage of my first experience of this dungeon. I legitimately don't know if they secretly buffed enemies or if I just didn't have like my stats associated properly. I don't really know what's going on there, but we'll move on to the MISC updates. So obelisk dungeons with chocolate, plasma, and lava can now always appear in the shores of the Everdark. Basically, these were areas that you could only get a select few fish, and you could only get it during the Lunar Plunge event, which is once a year. So it's nice that they permanently added those 1-star dungeons to the Everdark, albeit I think it's going to confuse new players because it's not really explained properly or anything, and how is a new player going to know that that dungeon has nothing to do with a class gem? But I guess the game doesn't really do the best job teaching you about class gems in the first place. Fishing pools can now sometimes be found in the starting area of Longshade difficulty worlds. I guess they mean like around this, or maybe there's sometimes there can be like a little water pool in this little spawn. That would be kind of cool. New loading screen has been added to the Longshade. Not that I would know because of my mod. Added Mount Willow of the Wintercoat and Alpha Angler. A bunch of different fishing stuff, fishing poles to the event vaults category. Okay, so they shouldn't say they added those. It should say that they moved those items into a different area. So yeah. Updated the toughness of wall blocks in the depths and Castle Catastrophe delves. Who cares? A batch of new dev allies has been added to the dev dream box. Cool, I guess. The depths delve now has its own decorations. Herald of the Deep Kraken offers the deco recipes for a fee. Once unlocked, these decorations can be crafted at Saltwater Sam's workbench. So the thing that I'm noticing this patch notes isn't mentioning that the test server patch notes mentioned is that portal, as far as I know, like the new Kraken boss, is in Delve's depth 175. I think that's the minimum, like the absolute lowest that you can go, which is borderline impossible unless you have a group of like solid players that are 45k and up. And even then, I'd say 45k is still probably not enough. So unfortunately, I'll never touch those delves because I'm, even though I'm kind of the Trove guy or whatever, I still kind of am like the average Trove player where I don't necessarily have a group ready to go at all times. And, there's some clubs that do that, but I don't know. I kind of just hop on at random times. Anyways, moving on, there's Missing Textures. Shade of White color is now available as a separate stylish block as Blank Void. I don't know what they're even talking about right now. Like, they need to seriously explain this in a way that makes sense to people that, might not be building things. Sure, whatever. So anyways, there's new texture blocks that have been added to the game. I won't go into all details about all of these, but basically there's a whole bunch of different decorations and stuff like that. That's cool. They also mention in this patch notes, would you like to design a texture block? Upload your designs for review here. And then it gives some parameters and details and stuff. There's also bug fixes, but I'm just going to go through these and see if there's anything worth talking about. So they fixed a bug where some draconic titles would be permanent rather than temporary. Fixed an issue preventing the Tome Expertise questline from being given to certain players. Fixed an issue that prevented certain delve bosses from having their health go over 1 billion. Fixed an issue that would cause gear-crafted face equipment items to have physical damage stat for bards. Fixed an issue that prevented the Fast Invasions event from working in Longshade difficulty worlds. Fixed an issue that would cause the Pot of Gold to show up in dungeons outside of the St. Cubeslick event. So I keep running into those and I'm like, why are they here? Yeah, and that pretty much does it. There's a couple other things in the bug fixes and a few other smaller notes that you guys can read through. I'll leave a link in the description to the patch notes. Otherwise, overall, my experience of this review is it exists. That's about it. It's kind of the most lackluster update we've ever seen. A lot of these updates honestly kind of fall on deaf ears because in a lot of ways they're, adding these new delve biomes that you can't play at a low enough difficulty to be able to enjoy. And I don't really like that because it kind of feels like the developers are just kind of wasting their time developing it. Because the thing is, I try my best to have an open mind about these things, regardless of my own personal opinion on it. I try to remain unbiased. And so I get a lot of feedback from you guys, both in the comment section and during live streams and stuff. And those of you that are like consistently able to find a large group of people at the end game that can handle these delves, the feedback that I'm getting from you guys is the same opinion I had when I went into one of those alone, in that it's extremely boring, lackluster, and nobody likes it. Nobody likes the whole water effect where you're floating all the time because enemies will knock you around all over the place. So with that experience under my belt and, being able to understand the experiences of, I would like to think, most players in the game, I think that this update kind of sucks. Like, there's a part of me that appreciates it, though. The positive side for me is the fact that we're getting smaller content updates more frequently that are part of a larger update. Like technically speaking, they're referring to this update as Rising Tides Release the Kraken. But when this was on a test server, they just called it Rising Tides 2.0. I don't know why they call it 2.0. I don't think they understand what 2.0 means in terms of like, you know, scripts and edits and games and stuff. But suffice to say, we were right. I talked about this in our video already, where essentially it seems like the Rising Tide has just barely scratched the surface of what this update entails for the rest of the game, which I would assume the biggest thing that we're going to slowly see added into the game is the fact that Mystic gear is slowly going to become a lot more obtainable, and we'll possibly be able to forge gear up to Mystic 5, which would suddenly make these super deep delves make a lot more sense, because Mystic 1 right now is just frankly 100% not worth it. It's just the amount of time investment and the cost to your own personal time and well-being in order to craft and get all these resources to craft Mystic gear for like what, 10% more damage or something. Like it's not enough. Anyways, that's my 2 cents about the update. What do you guys think about it? I'm happy that we're getting an update, even though this update doesn't really affect me. However, when I get back from my trip, I will end up doing the quest line on stream, and then probably end up having a video kind of highlighting that quest line if it's worthwhile. I don't know. Anyways, hopefully you ended up enjoying today's video. Smash like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. You can buy the merch if you want to support me, and interestingly enough, I finally have migrated over to a new merch store, so my merch isn't overpriced. Like, I rambled about it in our video, but frankly speaking, that video is actually going to be coming out tomorrow. Yeah. Suffice to say, a shirt that was normally like $30, beyond my control, is now like $16, so it's a normal price. I'm just saying, if you ever want any of my merch, yeah, you should check it out. Otherwise, bye-bye.